Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim, and Chris. On today's Wimbledon preview, brought to you by Babolat.
Sinner and Djokovic land in the same half,
Draper dealt daunting path to the final.
and Sabalenka avoids Swiatek and raducanu, but raducanu looms.
Kim, today is the 27th of June, and we are here to catch up on the Wimbledon draws at Tennis Weekly HQ, brought to you by Babolat. The time has come. The zenith of the grass court season has arrived. Wimbledon is upon us. And what better way to get into the Wimbledon mood than look back on the singles draws which have come out today, Kim, the men's draws and the ladies' draws in typical Tennis Weekly tradition. We're going to be looking through them quarter by quarter. We're going to be making some projections of who we think is going to become the singles champions. We are going to be making some bold predictions as well. Collector set is back, and lots and lots of exciting things to look forward to in this episode. And there's a bit of a change, isn't there, going into this year's Wimbledon for Tennis Weekly.
Yeah, we are really excited to be partnering with Babolat to bring everyone our Wimbledon coverage this year. They are our official sponsor, and we do have, very excitingly, in the second half, a prize already to be announced, and hopefully there'll be some more coming over the next fortnight. So listeners, do keep your eyes and ears peeled for those.
There is a little clue. There is a little clue, isn't there, for video listeners of what that prize might be.
Yes.
I say no more.
The eagle-eyed amongst you might be able to figure it out. But yes, very much the zenith of maybe our year, our season, Joe, like you said. And for many people in the UK, it's like Christmas, isn't it, for tennis fans?
I was waking up this morning, any tennis draw that gets announced, particularly Grand Slam draws, I just get so excited about. I was refreshing my screen at 10 a.m., waiting to see all the players come up and see what order they come in, see all those rivalries, see all those matchups. So yeah, really, really exciting. Sadly though, we're going to be talking about all those players. There is one person who is going to be absent from this episode.
Yeah, Chris is sadly at a wedding in Greece. I think an Indian wedding in Greece. So he is in pastures much further afield, but he will most importantly be back on Sunday. So he won't be missing a single ball of the championships.
No. We're going to be at Wimbledon over the next 2 weeks, and Chris is going to be there. We're all going to be there on site. We're all really, really looking forward to it. But yeah, today's episode, we're going old school. It's Joel and Kim.
It is Joel and Kim. Yeah, we are going old school. But before we get into the preview, I wanted to ask, because you went to the Boodles yesterday, and yes. I saw a nice photo of you in a suit with some champagne. But more importantly, who did you see, and what insight and intel do you have for us and our listeners?
Yeah, well, I saw Kelly Osbourne. I saw Jason. Sorry. Do you mean tennis? Did you mean tennis players?
Well, maybe both.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Alex de Minaur, saw Alexi Popyrin, Sebastian Baez on a grass court as well, and an old favourite of mine, Marcus Willis of Roger Federer centre court fame, was in there on the doubles, and I saw Bopana as well. He's such a legend of the game. To see him on a tennis court, he's 45 years old, Kim. It's just really incredible to see what he is still kind of producing. So it was a great day out. Yeah, a few celeb spotting as well. Some made in Chelsea personalities, I was informed, also were around. So yeah, a good day out, and I'm going to be dropping some insight on some of the players as we go through the draw.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, glad you enjoyed it. I remember when Marcus Willis was a guest on Tennis Weekly back in the day. So
I was interviewed that person.
Yeah.
Our Wimbledon coverage is brought to you by Babolat.
Babolat is an official partner of Wimbledon and the racket of choice for defending champion Carlos Alcaraz.
Since 2013, Babolat has been the official supplier of rackets, strings, bags, and accessories for Wimbledon, as well as providing the tournament's racket service since 2022, restringing over 6,000 rackets each championships.
The shared history between Babolat and Wimbledon traces back to the very roots of the game. And this year, they have something very special up their sleeve. They are celebrating their 150-year anniversary by unveiling their new Babolat Wimbledon collection to mark the start of the iconic British Grand Slam.
The elegant and modern collection features a lineup of 6 rackets, 4 shoe models, and 3 bags, and is available to purchase online and on site at SW19.
So head to babolat.com to shop their official Wimbledon collection now and celebrate 150 years of youth, innovation, and passion with Babolat this Wimbledon.
Well, let's get on without further ado to the men's draw to start with at Wimbledon, because we've obviously got defending champion, 2-time defending champion, Carlos Alcaraz, who will be opening up on Monday, centre court. But he is the second seed. We've got Jannik Sinner up as the top seed here as the world number 1. He's never gone beyond the quarters at Wimbledon. Last year, he lost to Medvedev. Joel, looking at his draw, do you think he has the potential to go better this year?
Well, I mean, he has gone past the quarters, actually. Almost, I forget that because he got to the semi-finals, I believe, the year before.
I apologise. Okay,
so,
sorry,
yeah,
Jannik.
You're doing Sinner a little bit of a disservice there. But, I think that shows really, though, where we're kind of at with Jannik Sinner in terms of, yes, he is the world number 1, but is he the world number 1 on a grass court? And the answer is probably no. So it's quite intriguing, I think, to see how he does here. And I think this is a really important moment of his season, to really kind of bounce back after, such an epic loss to Carlos Alcaraz at the French Open. I think, this is a real big opportunity for him to make a statement. And if you look at his quarter, I think as the world number 1, I mean, in the past, sometimes, these top seeds don't necessarily get a favourable draw. And we're going to come on to Jack Draper soon, but I think here, generally speaking, I think he's got quite a nice draw. Opens up against a fellow Italian in Luca Nardi. I mean, yes, maybe Grigor Dimitrov and Tommy Paul are lurking, but I don't necessarily think we've seen the Tommy Paul we saw last year on the grass courts. He had to pull out of Queens this year. I don't know, where his level is at. So yeah, I think he can be reasonably satisfied, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get an all-Italian quarterfinal, because Lorenzo Musetti at the bottom, he reached the semi-finals last year. Very, very consistent performer on the season this year.
Yeah, he is the second highest seed in this section, so they would be on a course to play each other. And Musetti also reached the semis at the French Open, so he's got reliability of late, kind of going deep at slams. I'm not sure if he will reach the semis here again. I feel like, yes, it was great he did it last year. Will he be able to pick it up and do it again? But looking at his draw, in fairness, he's got Ben Shelton that he might come across there perhaps. But yeah, I think you might well be right. We could be on for an all-Italian quarterfinal.
I mean, I'm just surprised. I was hoping to say to you, I think Ben Shelton could be a wild card here or someone to kind of look out for, but his grass court season has not really gone according to plan. I was kind of looking at him to really kick on, but it hasn't really come together. And at Queens, I was watching his performance. It was very erratic, and I think he's a player who really, I think, has a big opportunity here, but he's going to need to step up his game a lot from what we've been seeing recently.
Yeah, he's not been great, but I do feel like he's still one of those players that could just, I don't know, turn it on, and maybe going in without that expectation and people not really talking about him so much.
I think Nakashima, if you're looking at the Americans, I think Nakashima is probably playing the better tennis of Shelton and maybe even Tommy Paul at the moment. He looked very tricky, I think, very tricky customer at Queens. I think quite deceptive on the eye. So, that could be quite an interesting battle potentially for Musetti, I think, in round 3. So, all eyes on that as well.
Yeah, I remember Nakashima playing Kyrgios. I think the year that Kyrgios got to the final, I thought that was like 4th round, and that was quite a close one. So Nakashima, great to see him going further in a slam again.
I think also we've also got Corentin Moutet. I know you just talked about Kyrgios. I feel like Moutet is like the inherited Nick Kyrgios. So I think if there are any listeners just kind of looking for a bit of entertainment, a bit of maybe Fabio Fognini type entertainment, Moutet round 1 on an outside court somewhere, I'm sure is going to deliver some sort of fireworks.
Yeah. In this section, we've also got the all French Monfils against Humbert. So that's an all French first round. That could be quite an entertaining encounter. I mean, when you've got Gael Monfils, there's always entertainment guaranteed. So looking forward to that one. But let's now just drop down to the second quarter of the draw, where Jack Draper actually headlines this section. But you've also got a certain Novak Djokovic in this segment as well. So yes, everyone, Djokovic has fallen on Sinner's half of the draw, so they would be due to play in the semi-finals, which, you know, probably is good for Alcaraz that he won't have to think about Djokovic until
good for
the
Djokovic,
final.
I think.
Good for Djokovic, yeah, because out of the two, he'd rather play Sinner on a grass court.
I think so.
I mean, let's look at Djokovic first. His draw, you know, he's been in the last 6 straight finals. So is it guaranteed, Joel, that he is getting to a 7th straight one looking at his draw?
I mean, I think he's got the perfect opportunity to get there. I don't see, I think the harder part of this quarter is on the Jack Draper side. I look at the players around Djokovic. Yeah, I'm not seeing too many problems here. I think what's quite interesting is he could face Alex de Minaur in round 4, and they were scheduled to face each other last year at Wimbledon. I always remember this because I watched de Minaur and he sort of slipped in his round 4 match, and it aggravated an injury which led to him withdrawing from his quarterfinal against Novak Djokovic. So we could get a match that sadly was taken away from us last year happen in round 4 this time. But certainly I think Djokovic has got quite a nice path to kind of, you know, maybe kind of get the ball rolling. You know, he hasn't really had any practice as such. Although having said that, the Wimbledon social media did drop a video of him having a practice set with Carlos Alcaraz. It ended 5-all. So, you know, I don't know how much we can read into that, but certainly I think Djokovic has got a decent path.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see if this matchup happens, how Dan Evans will do against him in the second round. Dan Evans has got to get through a fellow British wildcard, Jay Clark, in the first round. So typical, isn't it, when two Brits are drawn against each other? But I would love to see how Dan will get on against Djokovic, because Dan Evans has had some really good, solid, you know, a couple of top 20 wins in this grass court season alone. So I think it would be a nice reward for him to play Djokovic on centre or court 1. And also beyond that, Alex Michelson, 30th seed. Curious to see how he might get on against Djokovic in the third round, should it come to that. But yeah, Jack Draper. Oh, tough for him. Sebastian Baez, Marin Cilic, second round possibly, and then Bublik, third round. Obviously, he beat him at Roland Garros and has just won Halle.
And then Mensik, who beat him at Queen's, and possibly in the fourth round. Like it's really tough. Djokovic in the quarters, Sinner in the semis. You know, there was so much focus on grabbing that number 4 seed. You know, to in the build up to Wimbledon, and actually, in hindsight, it looks like it's not helped him. Arguably, it's hindered him, I'd say.
Yeah, I do wonder though with Bublik. I know he's played super well at Halle, obviously at the French, but will that kind of expectation get to him? Like, he's seeded now, he's got back into the top 30. People are going to be expecting him to have a good run here, and maybe that might be his comeuppance, because sometimes that can really play on people's minds. Okay. But having said that, he seems to have found a new lease of freedom and life. So, yeah, very keen to see what he will bring us at Wimbledon.
I know, very intriguing. You just never know. That's sort of why I think fans gravitate towards him. You never know what you're going to get with Bublik. But I mean, with Draper as well, like the pressure is on here because, you know, Kim, he is the 4th seed. He's reached the 4th round at the Australian Open. He's reached the 4th round at the French Open. Do you think there's an argument to say, you know, this season he's been underperforming at Grand Slams?
Yes and no. I think if it continues like this, where he's reaching 3rd, 4th rounds, yeah, we're going to need him to get to the latter stages to justify being at that ranking and that seeding in the world. With this one, you know, yes, he could fall to Bublik, say 3rd round. Bublik, hot informed player, maybe not a surprise, but yeah, these are the sorts of matches you need to come through, and maybe actually that will having a tough draw might focus his mind and really nail him in from the start. There's not going to be any room for kind of, despondency or kind of fighting your way through playing ugly. Like, you've got to be on it from the word go, and that can actually sometimes fire people up in the right way. So he's got to bring it. And so it's crunch time.
And I will say, I watched Sebastian Baez yesterday because he was at the Boodles. And I thought what was quite telling was the interviewer on court afterwards asked him, how long have your kind of grass court preparations been going on for? He flew in on Wednesday. So probably gives you an idea of where kind of grass is on Baez's radar. So not expecting too many challenges
easing
there.
Jack in then.
South America on a clay court, maybe much more so, but grass courts at Wimbledon, I don't see any issues there, but certainly some really tough tests for Draper beyond that.
Yes, well, let's see how he gets on. Right, let's move on to the bottom half of the draw now. We do have in the third quarter, the third seed, Sasha Zverev, and also Taylor Fritz. They are the kind of standout seeds in this section, although we do have Daniil Medvedev, last year's semi-finalist, and also Matteo Berrettini, former finalist. What do you make of this draw? Obviously, we've got Taylor Fritz, he's doing well at Eastbourne. We know he's great on a grass court. He's reached the...
We know he's great at Eastbourne.
We know he's great at Eastbourne, but in slams of late, Fritz has not had good results. So he's up against Pericard, the French player, in the first round. That's quite a tricky opener, I think.
I agree. I think it's not going to be... I don't think we're going to get a lot of extended rallies in that match. Could be quite a few tie breaks, and it might come down to a few points here or there. So I think that's a really tricky opener for Fritz. I do expect him to perform well here, and I think he plays best on his best tennis on a grass court, but certainly I think he should be looking at this draw and thinking there's opportunity here. Having said that, we've got Medvedev. He played well in Halle as well, got to the final. I think Alexei Popyrin, another player I saw at Boodles yesterday against Alex de Minaur, I think he's going to be quite a tricky customer. He's got such a massive serve. And I was watching him do some kind of forehand drills yesterday. He also hits big. So when he is on song, I think he could be a dangerous potential. I think it's a little bit more open than maybe you might expect. And I think another reason for that is the fact that Zverev is in here. It's almost surprising to say, Kim, that he has only been to round 4 at Wimbledon, and he's done that on 3 occasions, including last year. Why do you think it is that kind of Zverev and Wimbledon, they have not mixed so far in his career?
Yeah, it's strange that I just assumed he'd got to like the semis because, he's got to that stage or beyond at other slams. And I just thought with this booming serve, like if that's on, you think he'd be a very tricky customer, and he's done well at Halle and the like before. So I don't think it's a question of he can't do it. It's just maybe circumstances haven't worked out each year. I'm expecting him to reach the semis this year. I think out of this section, he is the one that I'm earmarking to come through potentially. But yeah, I think I don't see any reason why he shouldn't. And looking at his draw, yes, Berrettini, possibly third round, but beyond, I think he's got a decent draw. It'd be a bit of a wasted opportunity if he didn't go further.
Hubert Hurkacz unseeded.
Yeah, when did that happen?
Yes,
I didn't realise. I was unaware.
Why is his name not in bold on the draw sheet?
I know it's a shame, but he is a dangerous opponent. He's got Billy Harris, Brit, in the first round. So I feel like, if you're going to play Hurkacz, you probably want to face him when he's unseeded. So maybe Billy Harris can get some momentum there. But Hubert Hurkacz, maybe if he can switch it on, he reached the semi-finals here years ago, didn't he? I think I remember that time he beat Federer.
Yes.
And really kind of announced himself. So I would love to see Hurkacz get back into the seedings where he belongs. Maybe this can be the tournament that helps rejuvenate his career. And Joel, let's have a look now at the final quarter, which we do have Alcaraz as the second seed right at the bottom of the draw. He's got Fognini in the first round, very old school blast from the past there. Not the player he used to be, but still brings a bit of flair to the grass. But looking at the rest of Alcaraz's draw, may face Felix Auger-Aliassime. There's Andrei Rublev sort of flying around. Yeah. His quarter might be TFO or Lehechka, perhaps. Could be a repeat of the Queen's final. But ultimately, anyone of real challenge to to Alcaraz getting to the final again?
I think Carlos Alcaraz will be very, very happy with the draw that he has been dealt. And you mentioned Fognini sort of, being a bit, not at the peak of his powers really anymore. I think that's, to be honest, the story of all the players, or the big players anyway, around Carlos Alcaraz, because you've got Felix Auger-Aliassime, you've got Stefanos Tsitsipas, you've got Andrei Rublev, but all these players have performed so much better, in their career, not this season. So, they're going to be still kind of searching for their top form. And I think really, Alcaraz is going to look at that and be really, really confident. I mean, I feel like he does start as the favourite by quite, some margin, defending champion, he's won Queens. I just think it really is his to lose. And I think this draw, again, kind of plays into that, because I don't really see any big potential threats, even looking further afield. I mean, Holger Rune, not sure. Lehechka, possibly Griegspor, but I'm not quite sure. I could even see maybe an unseeded player coming through here. One round one match I'm quite interested by is Fernley versus Fonseca. There's been so much hype on Fonseca. I'd be curious to see what court that gets given. But
I feel like that would be a court 2 job.
Do you think it's a court 2 job?
I think so.
Don't think that would get into number 1 or centre?
I think, given that Fernley's not quite a household name yet, neither of them are seeded. I think that's got court 2 for me written all over it. Similarly, I think Norrie Bautista Agut, 2 former semi-finalists. I think that would be a really fun one to put on court 2 or maybe court 3, where it's a bit more intimate, really get the crowd going. I think that might actually help the British players more to be in that setting, perhaps.
Yeah, and I mean, one final matchup we've got to talk about is the matchup between Oliver Tarvit of Great Britain and Reedy of Switzerland. Now, I believe this is the 2 lowest ranked players in the draw, pure coincidence, facing off against each other in round 1, with a massive incentive at stake to probably face Carlos Alcaraz in round 2. I mean, if you that is incredible motivation for 2 qualifiers.
That's like a Hollywood film script.
It's Marcus. We're talking Marcus Willis like levels of kind of incredible, storytelling here, really, because Tarvit is 719 in the world, Kim.
Yeah, and I watched a bit of his qualies over my lunch break yesterday, and I was like, "Who is this chap?" And I went onto the live scores app. Didn't have a ranking, so it's the first time I've heard about him. He does currently play college tennis at the University of San Diego. And the sad thing, Joel, is that because he plays college tennis and is deemed an amateur, he actually won't be able to claim his prize money from however far he gets at Wimbledon. That is the rule, unfortunately. I think it's very unfair, because he's putting all this time and effort and energy in, and to walk away with next to nothing is a ridiculous shame, I think.
Yeah, I think this needs to be looked at. I mean, the disparity between what you're allowed versus potentially what you could achieve. I mean, student athletes can claim up to $10,000 per year from any sort of prize money, and they can put that towards expenses and entrance fees. But if you think he stands at the moment to win, I think £66,000, there's a large gap there. And we always talk about, I think, these sorts of players, lower ranked players, struggling to make ends meet, needing as much help they can get to help them even just survive on the tour. And I think this extends to making sure they've got kind of the as best a platform as possible to start from. And it's almost like inhibiting that at the moment. So I do wonder, this is not something I've actually been that familiar with. I didn't realize this was such a thing. But I mean, there is precedent here, because last year Maya Joint, the Australian, she beat Raducanu in Eastbourne. She had to forfeit £145,000 in prize money because she reached round 2 of the US Open. These are big numbers.
These are sort of career-changing numbers at an early stage of your career like that. And it's such a delicate
point as well of your career, that very beginning. You would think that, more money should be allowed to kind of help you develop and progress and have a team and be able to travel. And yeah, maybe some exceptions need to be made for these Grand Slams, for these Grand Slam events where the stakes are so high.
Yeah, because it's not like they're going to be playing in and out on the tour if they're still at college. But for like 4 times a year as an exception, if you get the opportunity to qualify, especially at your home slam like Target, it seems a real shame. I do hope that this might be the instigator for some change perhaps in that area. We will see. But Target getting through, he is one of 23 British players in the singles draw at Wimbledon, which is I think the most we've had in many years, which is fantastic. So for those Brits out at Wimbledon, plenty of Brits
see Kim,
to
I can
choose
see
from.
the headlines now. It's going to be like most defeats of Brits in one day, or something like that. But we got a reality check.
Like that.
Fantastic to see that number kind of so high. But let's just see if they can now kick on.
Absolutely. And just before we go onto the ladies' draw, Joel, Lloyd Harris, I've seen his name in this section of the draw. I know he's one of your favourites. I do hope you get the chance to see him while he's still going.
I hope so
He's got
too.
Gigi Berg's round 1. We'll see how he gets on. Let's make our predictions though. We do have Chris's predictions, so we won't be forgetting him. We'll go quarter by quarter as we do here at Tennis Weekly. And we'll also be revealing our bold prediction as well, which could be anything. So without further ado, Joel, I'm going to come to you for your first quarter prediction. Who have you got for us?
Sinner Musetti, all Italian quarterfinal.
I've gone for Sinner against Ben Shelton. Although Shelton has had a shocker of late, I think something's going to flip in him. And I don't know, I had doubts about Musetti making it to another semi, but we'll see. Chris has gone for someone completely different. He's gone for Ugo Humbert to come through and play Sinner. So we're all very much aligned on Sinner, but who will he be playing in that quarter? And Joel, quarter 2, who have you got?
Mensik Djokovic. No Jack Draper.
No Jack Draper, no Bublik either. I've gone for exactly the same as you, Joel. Mensik Djokovic. Although Chris has gone for Bublik Djokovic he's gone for. So he has the faith that Bublik will continue his form. And quarter 3, this one is a bit a rogue, I think. We're not sure how this one's going to go.
Yes, I have gone Medvedev Kachanov.
Oh, an all-Russian encounter.
Yes.
Okay, I have gone for Gabriel Diallo of Canada against Sasha Zverev. I've just been seeing Diallo more and more of late, and I feel that he needs a breakthrough, and I think this could be his time. So yeah, we will see. And finally, last but not least,
you've got Chris. Oh yes, sorry, yes, Medvedev.
No, don't worry, I'm getting there.
Sorry, I was so excited. I wanted to announce it. Medvedev Berrettini.
Yeah,
from Chris. Interesting.
Old school.
Yeah,
Berrettini's getting to the
maybe a few years ago.
And quarter 4, I think this one might be a bit easier to predict, perhaps. Yes. Famous last words.
Lehechka Alcaraz.
Yeah, I've gone for exactly the same as has Chris. So we are in agreement very much. Okay, now, Joel, I want your semi-final lineup. So give me both semis, please.
Musetti, Djokovic, Kachanov, Alcaraz.
Okay, so Sinner is not getting to the semis, is he?
Yep.
I've gone for Sinner, Djokovic, Zverev, Alcaraz, which is, quite a solid lineup, I think. One we have seen previously at Slams. And Chris has gone for Sinner, Bublik, Medvedev, Alcaraz. So we're all quite different. Chris doesn't have faith in Novak Djokovic.
No, but it looks like we all have faith in a certain someone as our champion.
Yes.
But before I get there, I've got my final as Djokovic Alcaraz.
So have I. I've just gone for what we've seen the last 2 years. Chris has gone for Sinner Alcaraz.
Okay.
So he wants a repeat of last month. But champion, Joel, who have you got?
It's got to be Alcaraz. It's really hard not to go with what feels like the clear favourite at the moment.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I head and heart kind of say that. All the stats kind of point
Mm.
that way. And Chris also very much is in agreement. So we have a triple prediction for Carlos Alcaraz to get his third Wimbledon title this year. But before we move on, a bold prediction we need now.
Yes.
So Joel, what have you got that might surprise our listeners?
I've just got one, and I've sort of been alluding it when we talked about Jack Draper. I don't think Jack Draper makes the second week at Wimbledon. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it would be understandable, wouldn't it, if he falls to Bublik.
I mean, he's had
three.
a bout of tonsillitis as well in the build-up. You know, it's not been a smooth journey for him. Yeah. To get to the semis of Queens, playing the way he was impressive. I think that's the biggest thing that he can sort of say going into Wimbledon, that he's winning ugly, not playing his best tennis. I just hope we do see his best tennis at Wimbledon, because he's going to need it with the draw he's been given.
Yeah, exactly. It's very different if you're outplayed by someone more superior, but it's you don't want to put in a poor performance, do you? Especially at home with your home crowd. I have gone quite British in my sort of prediction as well. I feel that Dan Evans is going to play Djokovic, and possibly it might go to 5 sets. Still very much think Djokovic will come through, but I'd love to see a bit of a nice one for Dan. Maybe Tarvet as well to make the second round and play Alcaraz. I think that would be so fantastic for him, even if he's not getting the prize money. And Chris
he needs the experiences. If you're not getting the prize money, you've got to get the experiences in.
Exactly. And Chris sent in his prediction, which he has gone for Fritz, Paul, and Ben Shelton all to lose in the first round. So those top ranked Americans are not going very far. They've got Fritz, Perricard. I could see Perricard getting the win. We'll see. Yeah. Well, let's now have a quick break. Do join us in the second half, where we'll be discussing the women's draw and unveiling our collector set player picks. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Tennis Weekly podcast, brought to you by Babolat. And it's time now to look at the women's draw. We've got Sabalenka as the top seed, headlining the first quarter of the draw. And we've got Australian Open champion Madison Keys in her section as well. Oh, Sabalenka's draw. Very interesting, Joel. Some big names thrown into that top section. Is Sabalenka going to come through this bit, do you think?
I mean, I think she's going to be so driven by the fact that she's not won a Grand Slam title this year, got to 2 finals, has nothing to show for it. And, you know, I think that's going to spur her on even more, especially because this is a Grand Slam she has not won before. So there's already an incentive there. Looking at her draw, I think it's okay. I think it's quite decent. There are a few tricky names there. I think Madison Keys, she's having a stellar season, and that could be tricky. I think what's interesting is earlier on in round 3, Sabalenka could face either Vondrousova or Emma Raducanu. Now, Vondrousova defeated Sabalenka in Berlin, and Raducanu would also similarly be very interesting from a home British point of view. But yeah, I think apart from that, Sabalenka will feel like it's an okay-ish draw. Yeah,
it could be worse. Obviously not ideal to face a former champion perhaps so early on. McCartney Kessler also is in this section. She actually opens against Vondrousova. Yes. Kessler kind of going up the rankings. She's just won the Nottingham title. So
they're all vying for that round 3 slot, I feel, with Sabalenka.
Yeah, Raducanu also, she opens against Mimi Zhu, a British wildcard who's, I think, playing in her first women's singles draw, not the juniors here. We've got quite a few British girls like Hannah Klugman, Mika Stoslejevic. They're all in their kind of opening, adult draw, shall we say. So loads of like new names to look out for. And interestingly, Sabalenka, she opens against Carson Branstein of Canada, who qualified, but in qualifying, Branstein beat Lois Boisson, who we all know from Roland Garros, reaching the semi-final. So Boisson not able to kind of repeat her slam heroics this time round.
Interestingly, Kim, she actually defeated the top seed at Wimbledon qualifying, has now got the top seed in the main draw. And that happened also in Den Bosch. She came through qualifying and then ended up facing Sam Soliver, who was the top seed there. So she must be feeling like, what, how am I getting all this unluckiness when it comes to my qualifying placement?
Yeah, I mean that's not the best draw, is it? But maybe it's meant. Yeah, maybe it'll all work out. Maybe she'll spring a
I think
surprise.
she could
I've
be
never
quite a
seen her before,
surprise. You know,
so
she could be quite a surprise, tricky
yeah.
customer maybe for Sabalenka. I still expect Sabalenka to come through that, but might not be as straightforward as people might think.
I mean, what I love is when you see like these qualifiers or wildcards, they're getting their very first opportunity on centre court, court one, and sometimes that makes them play like the best tennis of their life. And you just never know. So that's what makes Wimbledon and the Slam so exciting. But I think especially at Wimbledon, there's just that sort of extra magic around it. So let's see. But quarter two, we've got Qinwen Zheng and Jasmine Paolini as the top two seeds here. Paolini, obviously last year's finalist. She has lost to Iga Swiatek today in Bad Homburg, sorry, quite comfortably actually. So I'm not sure where Paolini's level is at compared to say this time last year. Maybe no clear favourite from this section. You've got Anisimova, Queen's finalist. You've got Noskova, who's been doing all right, had some decent enough wins.
Yeah. Anisimova, yeah. Is it Schneider, Ostapenko?
Osaka's lurking.
It's a real
here.
who's who, isn't it? Of the WTA, and a few kind of unseeded players lurking. Osaka, Onjabeur as well. Yeah. I'm interested to see what Anisimova can do. You know, I saw her at Queen's. Thought she played really well. I think her game is very well suited to this surface. And I think this, again, is a nice quarter to be in. I'm not quite sure if Paolini can match up to, her performance last year. So, yeah, maybe there's an opening there for Anisimova. But I feel like if you're in this quarter, everyone is going to feel like they've got a very good shot.
Yes, I think it's probably the most open quarter for someone to grab the ball. And
Naomi Osaka doesn't have a really difficult round one match to begin with.
Yeah, there's no sort of Garcias or Mukovas or whoever, Badosas. It's Talia Gibson, qualified from Australia. But
there we go.
Yeah, we'll see. Going on to the third quarter, JPEG is the top seed in this segment. We've got Mira Andreeva as well, Emma Navarro. Alexandra, she's been doing all right of late on the grass. She's quite a handy customer. And we've got the defending champion, Krejcikova. So Krejcikova will be opening up proceedings on Tuesday on centre court. So we already know this section of the draw will be starting on Tuesday. How do you think Krejcikova is going to get on, first of all, Joel?
Well, I think there's a little bit of uncertainty there. She dropped out or withdrew, from Eastbourne. It feels like more of a precautionary dropout, but still not ideal, I think, going in as defending champion. And she's got a really tricky match first up. I actually have this on upset alert because Alexandra Iala playing very well in Eastbourne this week. She's playing Gracheva today. And, I think she's into the final. Sorry, she beat Gracheva in 3 sets. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a very stern test for Krejcikova. And I wouldn't be surprised if she goes the way of Vondrousova and an early exit for a defending champion. I'm sorry to say.
Yes, I can see that happening. Just like Buzes Monero beat Vondrousova last year. If Krejcikova is not fully fit, she's playing against someone who is perhaps playing some of the best tennis of her life. We know Ayala has beaten some top names earlier on in the year. She's got all that experience from the Rafa Nadal Academy.
Very good.
So we will see how she gets on. We've also got Petra Kvitova in her last Wimbledon as a wild card. She's up against Emma Navarro in the first round. Navarro, obviously, not maybe someone Kvitova would have.
Would you give that centre court? Would you give that centre court, potential last bow for former champion, two-time champion?
Yeah. Maybe court 1, court 2, perhaps, if not. But you've also got in this section, Joel, Tatiana Maria, Queen's champion. She's unseeded. She's up against Katie Volinets, also unseeded. Winner of that could play Pegula second round. Do you think Maria could do what she did when she reached the semis here previously, with her recent form at Queen's, go far?
Yeah, I think so. I think she's a grass court specialist, and I don't think there are a lot of players who know really how to kind of approach her. I think you need more variety and more aspects in your toolbox versus just hitting the ball flat and hard from the baseline, because we saw at Queens a lot of those types of players came a proper against Maria, like a Madison Keys. So yeah, it would be interesting to see how she gets on. Jessica Pegula, I'm not sure. Maybe she can do maybe she can surprise me, but I'm not really expecting a lot from her. And that maybe, again, could create a bit of an opening. I think, again, this quarter of the draw for me is, again, a really nice opportunity for a player maybe to make a name for themselves. And I personally think Iala is one to watch.
Is the one to watch. Yeah, I've got my eyes on Alexandrova, but also Eva Jovic. She, I think, won the event in Ilkley. She's a qualifier coming through. So perhaps, time for a new name to make some progress from this section. And last but not least, Joel, we've got quarter 4 where Coco Gauff, recent French Open champion, is the second seed. And she's been thrown into the same quarter as Iga Swiatek, who is down as the 8th seed and obviously has never had the greatest success at Wimbledon, I think it's fair to say. But let's focus on Coco Gauff first of all. She opens against Yastremska, who is the Nottingham finalist. She's got possibly Azarenka in the second round, possibly the likes of Severe Kenin third round.
Kasatkina
beyond that, Samsonova, Maya Joint, who's doing very well at Eastbourne. Difficult draw for Gauff.
I don't think this is easy at all. And although she will feel confident from her French Open title, we haven't seen the best of her yet on grass, and this might come a little bit too soon. I think from the high of winning the French Open, very tough round 1 match against Yastremska, I think, and just this quarter alone. I mean, I think she'll just be thankful that Swiatek and Rybakina are on the, are as far away from her really as possible. But I still think this is a very tricky path for Gauff, who hasn't necessarily shown her best form here. Had that defeat to Navarro last year. She made a name for herself here. I think we're still waiting for her almost to kind of make a name for herself again by going further, because it's not quite clicked, I think, in recent years. So we'll have to see. But I certainly think Rybakina, for me, is the one, based on what we saw in Berlin, is the one to look out for. And you can never really count Swiatek out. I know this is not her greatest surface, but she's in a final. She through to the final in Bad Homburg. So she's playing well, and maybe an under the radar Iga Swiatek is, when Iga Swiatek can be at her most dangerous, because I don't think a lot of people are going to be expecting what we maybe were expecting from her at the French Open, and that could ease the pressure a little bit.
I think it will benefit her. I think going slightly under the radar, having that sort of freedom, I think that will loosen her up to play better here. And I'd like to see it. I'd love to see her do well on the grass.
Yeah.
I don't see why she can't and she shouldn't. So let's see what Iga brings. Yeah. But yeah, Rybakina looking solid as well.
She could play Danielle Collins round 3, Iga Swiatek. That would be
favorite person.
That would be pretty blockbuster. Yeah. So definitely some interesting kind of players to look out for. Clara Tauson as well, I think, also could be one to watch. Tauson Rybakina potentially in, I think, round 3. I think that could be quite a fiery encounter. But let's
not
wait
happening,
and see.
Joel.
It's not happening.
Heather Watson beating Tauson in round 1. Yes.
Or Zachary. Zachary's coming through.
Backery, yeah. Well, we'll see. Now time to make our women's predictions. So we'll go quarter by quarter again. Joel, tell us.
Yes. Right. I'm going to give you
tell us all your quarters.
I'm going to tell you all my quarters.
All 8 of them.
Vondrousova Keys, Anisimova Schneider, Iala Maria.
Oh, wow.
Pretty strong there. And Rybakina Kenin.
Nice. Okay. Some interesting names. Some, recent form going on. Ayala Maria.
I know. I'm pushing the boat big time there with that quarter.
Right. I've gone maybe a bit more conventional. I've gone for Sabalenka Keys, Noskova Zheng, Ondreeva Alexandrova.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
And Rybakina Gauff. So make of that what you will. I'll read out what Chris has got as well. He's got Sabalenka Keys, Anisimova Zheng, Navarro Bencic, and Rybakina Gauff. So I think the only players that we've all got is Rybakina, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only consistent one that we have all got. And Keys and Rybakina.
Yeah, I mean, Rybakina, I think, is peaking well. I feel like she's peaking for Wimbledon. And as a result, I have got her in my semi-final in that second semi against Iala. I don't know how I've got there, but we have. And also Madison Keys versus Anisimova.
Okay. I've got Sabalenka against Zheng, Alexandrova Rybakina. So I've gone slightly more conventional, maybe. Yeah. Chris has got Sabalenka Zheng as well, and he's got Bencic Gauff in his semi. So
it's
Belinda
been very
Bencic.
bold. It's been very bold of me, I think, not to put Sabalenka in quarters as the world number one. Am I going to live to regret that? That feels like a thing I could live to regret.
She's been so consistent at slams, Joel.
That's very true.
Okay, well, who's got your who's in your final? Who's winning?
I've got Anisimova, Rybakina, and I've got Rybakina as my champion.
Okay. I have gone for Sabalenka Rybakina final with Rybakina as champion. I think Sabalenka might throw a bit of a wobbly in the final again, maybe.
No, so what? She's gonna do a three-peat of losing Grand Slam finalists this season.
Possibly, yeah. Okay. She could come
just
away
not to an American this time.
Slams. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
Chris has got Sabalenka Gauff in the final, but this time he's got Sabalenka winning. So he thinks that she's going to reverse the recent French Open final result.
Okay.
And last but not least, our bold prediction, Joel.
I've got a couple. I'll go for the one I'm more confident with first. I think Iala's going to defeat Krejcikova. Well, I've got her going to the semi-final, so I have to say that. So I've got Iala defeating defending champ Krejcikova, and I think Coco Gauff's going to go out to Yastremska in round one. Those are my two bold predictions.
Yep. Pretty bold. Well, I've gone for Maya Joint, who's doing well at Eastbourne, to reach the fourth round, take Coco Gauff all the way, but I think Gauff will ultimately come through. And I also think Jinju Wong is someone to look out for. She's got Mukova round one, but Wong has had some good form of late on the grass, and I think she could be one to watch from that section as well. And Chris has gone for a slightly different prediction. He thinks the winner will come from the first 16 names in the ladies' draw. So he doesn't mean the top 16 ranked. He thinks Sabalenka to Svitolina. So that top section of the top quarter. So we could be seeing, Sabalenka, Raducanu, Vondrousova, perhaps Svitolina. We'll see. Thanks, Chris, for your your predictions. And Joel, before we finish up for today's preview, we do have to reveal, very excitingly, our collector set player picks, don't we, for this edition?
Yes, we do have collector set back for listeners who have not been well versed in collector set. It is our game for Grand Slams. We give you 6 players, and you need to tell us what round you think they are going to get to. And if you think they're going to get to the final, you need to let us know if you think they're going to be the champion or the runner-up. We've got 3 male picks. We've got 3 female picks. And Kim, excitingly, as you alluded to in the first half, the prize has changed, or the stakes have been raised.
Yes, we are not only giving away a mug this time, we do have a special Babolat gift. It's a 150-year anniversary Babolat cap, which Joel is showcasing very nicely.
I'm wearing it at the moment,
today.
Listeners. If you want to have a look and see the hat in its full glory, then do watch us on YouTube, because you'll be able to see it.
Joel is modelling it.
I'm modelling it. Yeah.
It's going to be a hot Wimbledon. We're going to need our caps.
We are. Yes.
The weather is looking, especially for the first few days, it's really hot. So everyone who's attending, please drink lots of water and be safe, sun cream, etc., because we are being blessed with some really lovely sun for the opening few days at least. So I'm quite pleased about that. We don't want rain delays, do we, Joel? They're a pain in the backside. Although we do have 2 roofs, fortunately. But let's excitingly reveal our picks. Joel, would you do us the honours of reading out our 3 male players?
So our 3 male picks for Wimbledon 2025 collector set: Carlos Alcaraz, Jack Draper, Taylor Fritz.
Okay, so we've got some good names in there: Alcaraz, Draper, and Fritz. And our female player picks are Elena Rybakina, Emma Raducanu, and Marketa Vondrousova. So some former champs, we've got some home hopes in there, big names. Do tell us your predictions before the start of play on Monday. We'll be revealing ours in our opening episode next week. And you can let us know your predictions on any of our social channels, our email, etc. However you'd like to let us know just before the play starts on Monday. To remind you all, Alcaraz, Draper, Fritz, Rybakina, Raducanu, and Vondrousova. So yeah, may the predictions commence.
May the predictions commence. Good luck to everyone as well. We're going to wrap up our Wimbledon Draw preview brought to you by Babolat here at Tennis Weekly HQ. We hope you've enjoyed the ride with us. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of action from Wimbledon, where we will be producing daily episodes across the fortnight starting from Monday. Make sure you subscribe to us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all your favorite podcasting platforms out there. And if you love what you're hearing, be sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, as well as hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube.
Stay connected with us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X at Tennis Weekly Pod. So do make sure you're subscribed to all of our channels, because
got lots of content coming up.
Loads of content coming over the next fortnight, so do not miss out. And if you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can drop us an email, tennisweeklypod@gmail.com, or visit our website at tennisweekly.co.uk.
And we'll be back on Monday for our Wimbledon Day 1 catch-up brought to you by Babolat. But until then, it's goodbye from Kim.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Tennis Weekly.